Hey everyone, well in this video I'm going to be continuing on with Husqvarna 540 XP. No, not a T540, 540 XP rear handle, the modified version of the T540. And it's of the Mark III designation, so it's the newest, latest, greatest updated designation of those saws. Do a first startup, never run this saw before. I'm going to put fuel and oil in it for you to see. And see if we can get it running. And it is an auto-tune saw, so hopefully I don't goof something up and the saw won't run right, but I don't think it should be an issue. Just gonna put fuel oil in it, fire it up, and just let it idle and run a little bit and get it up and going. I still don't have a bar and chain for it. I'm just gonna run it a little bit here just to let it get the initial first heat cycle into it. And well, let's get on with it, see what we got going on here. I'm just going to go ahead and put the fuel oil in it. I went ahead and pulled the side cover off. These do have the captive bar nut in them, which is nice. Like I think most of the new, pretty much all the pro grade saws now from Husqvarna pretty much have that captive bar nuts. Maybe a few of the consumer ones don't yet, but for the most part I think most of them do. So go ahead and yeah, the oil tank is bone dry. So yeah, small saw, small tanks, they don't hold a lot of oil or fuel. Got to watch you don't overfill them. I got 3/4 of a tank of oil or better, almost full. So I always, like I say, run fresh, clean oil. I don't run any used motor oil in any of my saws. Never have, never will. Don't use any weird French fryer restaurant deep fryer grease like some guys do, things like that. I don't do that either. I always shake my my mix before I fill up. As long as you get half a tank of gas in here, we should be fine. We got 3/4 of a tank of oil and we got 3/4 of a tank of gas, so there we go. Now I will say about these 540s, I've heard guys in the last, something I want to cover here before we get a little further into this. Something that guys have heard them talking about the last few years, saying it's really a shame that Husqvarna doesn't make a small 40cc pro saw like they used to make back in the day, like the 242 XPs and 238s and saws like that, you know, going back a long time ago. And still don't make guys complain that still no longer makes the MS 241, things like that, the, you know, small light little pro saws. Well, you know what? Actually, both companies still do make 40cc pro saws. This is Husqvarna's answer, is the 540 XP Mark III in a rear handle configuration. Still has their 201P, I think it's called, with the rear handle, modified version of their 201T. So to say that the big name companies out there aren't making small pro grade 40cc saws, they pretty much know it's not a specifically designated saw all its own. It's a modified top handle, but they are still offering a 40cc version. Up until a few years ago, Husqvarna had the 543 XP, which was a rebranded Japanese-made saw. I forget the Zeno or whatever it was making saws for Husqvarna at the time. They were, like I say, rebranded Japanese saws. Like I say, they were called the 543 XP, and they stopped them because basically it was a duplication of what they already had, was this. Now some will argue and say it's not a proper pro saw, but for a small 40cc saw, from what I understand, these little buggers rip pretty good if you've got the right bar and chain set up on them. And if you want to do some mods to them like some guys do, well, they're that much stronger. So okay, I just went through the whole purging process here, and to show you that it was bone dry and it's never had fuel fire, or I've never had fuel in it and had it fired. It was tanks were all dry, and I forgot to turn the camera on. So, but anyways, just the purge. It's not a primer. You're not pumping fuel into the engine. You're just purging fuel through the carburetor. So this one's still got the pull and lift to choke. I'm just going to make an admission here right from the get-go that this next step here, just as I'm getting to start this saw, I screw up. Like I said in my very first video on these saws here, I said I didn't have an operator's manual for the 540. Now I am aware of how to start auto-tune saws, but of the earlier first generation of the auto-tunes. There has been some updates and upgrades to the auto-tune program or operating systems in the course of their life with the Mark IIs, and in the case of the 540, this is actually the third iteration or generation of those saws. So they've steadily seen updates in the auto-tune system. Now I'm following the procedure of what you would normally do with the first generation auto-tunes, and it doesn't quite work the same with the latest iteration. There's a little bit of a slight difference, and I goof it up. In the end, it all works out fine, and since then, since I've been learning the saw, I've learned how the newer updated auto-tune system, like I say, the proper function of it. It's not drastically different, but there's one little step in there that I goof up. This little 540 runs and sounds just like a miniature 572. Like when they first start, you hear that that kind of hop and a skip in them when they're first running. And I'm not used to that. The very first gen saws were, like I say, just slightly different than that. Like I say, a little bit of a difference, not a whole lot, but it tripped me up here. And the saw, like I say, it was dry, brand new. Just needed to circulate fuel through the carburetor. Making a disclaimer, like I say, I am human, and yes, I did screw this up. And I would like to say in the future, I'm probably going to do a video here coming up on what I see here on some of the guys doing field resets on new or fairly new saws, sometimes for no really good reason other than just to do a field reset for YouTube. Doesn't matter if it's a Stihl M-Tronic or a Husqvarna Auto-Tune. Bungling up the reset or field reset procedure by not following the details step by step as set out by the manufacturers. So anyways, that's just something that I might do in the future here. Anyways, we're going to get right back into the video here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what, 6 pulls, 5, 6 pulls to get it to pop off. And then now just pop it down into the run position, and it should be in the high idle. No. Well, we'll go back to full. I put it back on full choke. Well, I guess back to full choke again. Don't forget, this saw is bone dry. I don't know what the actual procedure is for these new, the newest version of the Auto-Tune now. I put it back in full choke because that's where it seems to, it's got to pull up fuel because it's been sitting a while. with to get fuel circulating through the system. The saw is a couple of years, 2 to 3 years old, and like I say, it was sitting in dealer inventory, was never fired, so. Definitely want to try this out now. I'm curious. Well, there we go, folks. That's, I couldn't help myself. I had to remove the spark arrestor screen. That's my one little modification that I'm allowed to do without voiding my warranty. So, at some point in the future, there's some guys that are now making aftermarket mufflers for these performance mufflers. So, we'll see. Maybe, if I keep the saw, I might go ahead and get one of those. Don't know yet. I may not have much use for this saw, and I might sell it and send it down the road. I don't know. But it sure is an awfully light, nice little saw anyways. If you're doing topping and for any tree service guys, that would be the ideal saw. If you need something up in the bucket truck, or if you don't want to use a regular top handle, this is a pretty good alternative. Or somebody that's just looking for a very small pro grade saw for doing yard work. I tell you, if you're a property owner, you couldn't ask for much better than that. Let's see if it's going to refire here. Okay, let's see if we will get a one pull restart without touching anything. Let's see if it'll restart again. One pull. Well, there you have it, folks. One Husqvarna 540 XP. First initial start. by doing what I did with my other auto-tune saws by flicking it down just to the high idle, it would be fine, but it needed a little bit more coaxing, and I had to choke it a couple more times just to just get the fuel circulating through the carb in the system and get the diaphragm in the carb working. It is still a carbureted saw. It's the auto-tune, but it still has a carburetor, so still needs get that fuel going through it. But now that it's I've started and stopped it here a few times off camera, and it's always just a one pole restart. So we'll see once I put a bar and chain on it and start doing some you know, limb cutting around the yard here with it and stuff. And we're supposed to have some warmer days here, hot weather type of thing. So I'm curious to see if this one's gonna have any Husqvarna hot start restart issues. So I don't think so. I think it'll be fine. I haven't heard any issues with these saws. They've the latest version now of like this one here are pretty much all the bugs have been worked out of them. From what I understand, some of the very first of these had a little bit of problem with the auto-tune programming in some of them, but the latest version here now, they're supposed to be pretty rock solid, and down the road, once the warranty requirements start coming to an end, then I might, if I still have the saw at that point, then I might look at putting an aftermarket. I think some guys like West Coast Saw make a little performance muffler for it that apparently really wakes them up. They're already pretty snappy, but I know there's, I think, one or two other companies that also produce aftermarket performance mufflers for them, so should be interesting to see what this little thing can do. Anyways, just like to say thanks once again, everybody, for stopping by and checking out another one of my videos, and we'll see you all in the next one.